Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, Chapter 13, text number 23. Navadyeyaha prajapalaha prajabhiragavanapi yadaso lokapalanam Vibharti ojasva tejasa. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. It is a duty of all citizens in a state never to insult the king, even though he sometimes appears to have done something very sinful. Because of his prowess, the king is always more influential than all other ruling chiefs. Purport. According to Vedic civilization, the king is supposed to be the representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is called Naranarayana, indicating that Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appears in human society as the king. It is etiquette that neither a Brahmana nor a Kshatriya king is ever insulted by the citizens. Even though a king appears to be sinful, the citizen should not insult him. But in the case of Vena, it appears that he was cursed by Naradevatas. Therefore, it was concluded that his sinful activities were very grievous. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. So here is a general instruction as well as the case of an exemption. The general injunction is first stated here that the citizen should never insult the king, even if he has done something sinful. However, we see in the purport, Prabhupada says, but in the case of Vena, it appears that he was cursed by Naradevatas. Therefore, it was concluded that his sinful activities were very grievous. So every rule has an exemption. And it all depends on in this case, as Prabhupada says, on the gravity of sinful activities. We can draw a parallel here. Sometimes devotees who follow Srila Prabhupada's instruction on initiation, the directive given by Srila Prabhupada, the July 9 directive, where Srila Prabhupada, he says that for the purpose of first and second initiation, for the purpose of performing first and second initiation. He was appointing 11 Ritviks, bracket, representative of the Acharya. Then he gives a list of 11 names. And in the following paragraph, the essence is those who are initiated become the disciples of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. So we follow this instruction of Srila Prabhupada. And we are also very much aware that there are devotees of Srila Prabhupada, disciples of Srila Prabhupada, who instead of following that directive of Srila Prabhupada, and also without anything on record to show authorization from the predecessor Acharya to become the current Acharya, as required under the principle of Diksha Vidhana. In violation of that, those disciples self-declared themselves as 11 Acharyas. The 11 Ritviks self-declared themselves as 11 Acharyas. And we, who still follow this July 9th letter, on various occasions, it is essential and required that we talk about them, we expose these facts for the purpose of protecting the innocents who will be deprived of discipleship of Srila Prabhupada as he has desired under the July 9th directive. So with a greater purpose in mind, we do criticize the disobedience. What is the normal rule? One should not criticize Vaishnavas. What is the normal rule? One should not criticize the citizen, should not criticize the king. Here in the case of Vena, because of the severity of a sinful activity, the sages cursed him. And that is the point of discussion here. Though normally king has to be respected, Prabhupada uses the word here, the Naranarayana, indicating that Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appears in human society as a king. In the same way, a spiritual master, a bona fide spiritual master, comes into the society or takes up that function in the society in order to, into that society, coming as good as God. Even a king is said to be coming as Lord himself coming for that purpose. That is how one has to see. Similarly, we also know the Guru Tattva, that one has to look upon the spiritual master, respect him as good as God. This is a Shastric injunction. Because he represents a pure representative, he is a pure representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So when such persons holding such position, the sages did not tolerate here even of a king. What to speak of those who are supposed to be bona fide spiritual masters, who are worshipped as good as God by the disciple. So such an exalted position is that of a spiritual master, bona fide spiritual master, especially the one who is coming in our parampara to deliver the living entity back to Godhead. So many multifold importance is the role of a guru than even a king. So, the more elevated the position is of a person in the society, greater is, because of his responsibility, greater is the consequence if such a person engages in sinful activities. So therefore, one does not have to shy away from speaking about those disciples who deviated from Srila Prabhupada and engaged in sinful activities, deviated in taking up the position of a guru and accepting so many disciples, thousands of them, and then engaging in sinful activities. A very good example of Vena here, King Vena. People say, sometimes they say, no, Krishna says, even if somebody is once in a while falls down, he should consider him as, he should not see that black spot. Yes, that is applicable to general devotees, not those who have taken up the role of a spiritual master. Those who have taken the role of a spiritual master, they have voluntarily, they have chosen, self-made. Because it's not about them being unqualified. The consequence of that is when they fall down, thousands and thousands of souls are whom they accept as their spiritual master. There is a himsa. There's a violence on that soul. Because there's a betrayal of trust, betrayal of faith. The Shastra says you should have faith, as much as faith as in Krishna himself. Just see what that means. So what is that position of that person who is supposed to take the faith from the disciples and surrender from the disciples, which one should be giving to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So it's a very deep violation. That is the reason why the Shastra says that one should not take up such a position, even in the name of service, in the name of preaching, to make more disciples, to expand the movement. One should not take such a position unless you are authorized by the spiritual master, by your spiritual master. The spiritual master will authorize only if he sees that the person is qualified to play that particular role. So very often, many of these, many of the devotees in this Krishna consciousness movement did not know about this institutional directive where Srila Prabhupada appointed the 11 Ritviks. Everyone thought, by default, when they see the present Guru system, they will by default assume and think that this is the way Prabhupada wanted to continue. That means Prabhupada has authorized them to be the spiritual master. And that is how they apply the principles of faith. Yasya deve parabhaktir yatha deve tata guru. The same faith one has in Krishna, one puts in the spiritual master, as per the Shastric injunction. Because one thinks that this is authorized by Prabhupada. But the fact is that this system was not authorized by Prabhupada. So faith, everybody can have different levels of faith. You can have a faith in your senior Vaishnava. But this is talking about faith as good as God, faith in God. God is pavitram, pure. Similarly, we have faith that my spiritual master is pure. Sinful activity means impurity. Sinful activity means impurity. So therefore, we see here a very good example of how the learned sages are very learned. They don't do anything like that wrong. They cursed Vena because of his sinful activities. So we have to learn also that we cannot be sentimental. We have to look for what is good for the society. It is not that we attack fallen gurus. That is not. We are attacking the disobedience and the system, corrupt system that has been perpetuated even by those who have not so far fallen or may not even fall down. But still, that system is not person-based. that system of a guru becoming a guru only if he is authorized by his predecessor spiritual master. Then he can be. What is the science behind this authorization? It's not simply authorization, like some material authorization. Authorization means you see the qualification and you authorize. So whether you are pure, whether you are capable of representing Krishna as good as him to the disciple, can it be self-certified? It cannot be self-certified. Anybody who certifies himself as pure is not pure. He has to be certified as pure by someone who is pure. There is a principle behind this authorization. So it is very clear, even though in 1980 it came out very clearly that 77 to 80 everybody believed that Prabhupada appointed these 11. In 80 it came out from one of them that Prabhupada never appointed gurus in his movement. That is on record. But that is, how many people see the record? They don't see all this. They come to the movement and they see there are present gurus. Oh, then I had to take initiation from him. Then I had to surrender unto him. I had to surrender my soul to him. It is not just, I accept him as spiritual master, then I have to follow his instruction. No, it's not just following the instruction. That even temple president, if you're in the temple, you have to follow the instruction of temple president. It is not just instruction. Guru means you have to surrender your soul to the spiritual master. Then only all the secrets of spiritual secrets of existence is revealed in the heart of such a person who is surrendered to the spiritual master. So, it is very unfortunate that end of the day, whatever you may say, Krishna consciousness movement, so much preaching is happening. All these things do not compensate for individual abuse of the position of the spiritual master, hence attracting the innocent neophytes. Neophytes are innocent, spiritually innocent. They do not know. Somebody who does not know something you call innocent. They do not know. So they apply all the faith on such personalities. And the system that allows them to repose this kind of faith, that is the evil in the society. Being a spiritual organization, spiritual society, there should be all kinds of protection against abuse of faith. Because we are all giving our faith. Without Shraddha, there is no spiritual life. So Shraddha has to be rightly placed. Shraddha has to be rightly reciprocated. Where how much Shraddha should be given should be monitored by the society, by the management. Like Prabhupada says, you have to be vigilant. The word used by Prabhupada, vigilant. So in all these matters of being vigilant with respect to this abuse of faith in ISKCON has been thrown to the wind by disobedience to July 9 directive given by Srila Prabhupada. And therefore we can, just like the rishis, have expressed their displeasure at King Vena. We are also entitled to express our displeasure at the damage to the Krishna consciousness movement that has happened due to such unauthorized, self-made guru system. Sometimes they say, no, that system also, they're building temples and they're distributing so many books and all those things. I would say that is because of the devotees' devotion to Prabhupada. In spite of this abuse, Srila Prabhupada's books, Srila Prabhupada's daily Guru Puja, which he established, keeps everybody linked up to Srila Prabhupada. And therefore that is producing the result. What if this abuse was not there? That plus that, put together, the society, the Krishna consciousness movement would have grown 10 times than what it is today. 10 times the present. So simply saying that, no, we are expanding, is not the proof that we are on the right path. And Krishna allows. The fault is of few leaders. The fault is not of the rank and file devotees who are disciples. So they are doing their work. So the movement is progressing because of disciples' mercy and not because of the so-called Guru's mercy. So one should not, when required, in order to protect the society, it is relevant to talk about the sinful activities and not for our gratification. We criticize them. We point out, we criticize for one thing is to protect the devotees who are following the right path. They have to know about it. Another thing is, we have to re-establish what Prabhupada wanted. If somebody thinks he was pure and he surrendered and later on finds it's not, then that is called betrayal of faith. In a spiritual institution that should not happen. It will not happen also. Of course, in Kali Yuga, as Prabhupada says, everything is contaminated. The same way here also, it's got contaminated. So the philosophy that no yoga brashta, somebody who's fallen, you should not criticize, that verse is not applicable. That is applicable to rank and file sadhakas. He's a sadhaka, he falls down now and then. Don't criticize him. That is okay. That's where we have to follow. We have to still consider him as a sadhu. But not for those who take a position, just like position of a king. Take the position of greater than even king, where one reposes absolute faith. After taking that position on one's own accord, self-made, to say that, no, he's a yoga brashta, he just accidentally fallen down, and therefore, no, even accidentally you cannot fall down if you are in that position. There was a conversation where Prabhupada was, where disciples said, somebody said, Guru can fall down. Prabhupada said, who is that rascal? Guru can never fall down. And somebody gave example of Brahma falling down. Again Prabhupada chastised. That is the Leela of Brahma in some other yuga. This Brahma here is Haridas Thakur. So all these things they quote and say that falling down is okay. If falling down is okay, then where is philosophy? Falling down is okay for a learner. You learn bicycle, no? You will fall down. Without falling down, you don't learn. And one day, after that, you will never fall down. So one is not even learned bicycle. He doesn't know how to ride. He is falling down. He is coming to teach you how to ride a bicycle. Any questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, you have drawn a nice parallel between today's verse and how the Brahmanas, when they saw that the exceptional case in Vena, so they cursed him. So in the same way, if suppose like now we are very fortunate that we are following Prabhupada as it is. So and we feel that now so much discrepancy is happening. It's an exceptional case, as you mentioned. So now the Brahmanas curse the Vena. So now if suppose somebody like us curse, so will that work in some good way?
No. See, Brahmanas in that case chose to curse him because they wanted his rule to end. They cursed him to die. Cursing is for a purpose. It should serve the purpose. So similarly, our equivalent of cursing is continuously to preach that Prabhupada's order is being disobeyed. And to show by us following it strictly. So that is our equivalent of curse, is to preach vigorously. To say that this has happened, protect yourself. So we curse, we are hurt. You are disciple of Prabhupada, I am disciple of Prabhupada. If you see something I am doing which hurts Prabhupada, it hurts you. Correct? So this hurts Prabhupada's mission. What a pristine movement it is. Ordinary people can fall, that is all right. The learning process. but there cannot be cheating. System itself cannot promote cheating. So therefore we have to fight against the system. And we are now almost 50 years after 77, across 50 years. So enough calamity is there to show. That is also the reason why we have to cite these examples. Hey, open your eyes. This is not something that you can, And today, what is their GVC's resolution? If your guru falls down, take shelter of Prabhupada. Before he could not have taken. But in between, there was some other solution GVC had. If your guru falls down, you should take reinitiation from another guru. Then they found that the other guru also fell down. There are people who have taken the initiation from three, all three have fallen down. So therefore, GVC discussed that. And they said this reinitiation is not correct. If guru falls down, they should take shelter of Prabhupada. This is the latest. So next reform we are waiting. And that reform will be take direct shelter of Prabhupada. First time itself. जय ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।